Final hour Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan. The Super Bowl is inching closer and closer. Super Bowl 58. You can hear it on TSN, watch it on TSN, CTV down in Vegas. And we got a guy on, I was going to say on the line, but he's in studio. It's
he's
better.
with us.
Nathan Rourke's in here. He knows everything about the NFL now. What's happening, Nathan?
Man, not much. Just enjoying this off season and spending time with great people like yourself.
Well, thank you for that. That's a testimonial.
What a comment.
That's what we're looking for.
Crap.
That's what we're looking
That's
for.
a soundbite for
We
you.
love it, man. It's great to see you. I mean, you got through the NFL, your first year up there. Like, you were down in Jacksonville, you end up in New England. Was it everything you thought it would be? I mean, we talked to you a couple times during the season, but how do you look back on the first year of NFL life?
Yeah, I look back at it with seeing myself as very lucky because I feel like I experienced the highs as well as the lows, right? And that's just kind of what professional sports is. That's what the NFL is it's just a little bit of both, right? So I was able to be cut and then claimed by somebody else, and we did the move, and I was able to try to pick up on an offense really, quickly and go through that gauntlet. And so it was good for my wife and I to do that together. And but then obviously, have the highs of making some plays in the preseason, but it leaves us in a place where we're really excited for the upcoming season.
Well, you mentioned the preseason. You made that unbelievable play that immediately went viral, where you escaped the rush, and then you're getting tackled, and you made that incredible throw, and that put you on the you're on the map up here. Obviously, everyone in Canada knows who you are and what you did with the Lions.
Right.
Take us back to that, because that caused such a stir, and then you still end up, practice squad again, and by the end of the season, you end up in New England. Like, how big of a deal was that with the guys, in the room? Like, how much of a buzz did that cause at Jags camp, that incredible play you made in the preseason?
Yeah, I think it's funny because, at that time, what they had seen of me was really minimal, right? I mean, I don't think that the CFL is something that the NFL players, tune into every week. So, especially going to a small school and coming out of school in 2020, there was guys there who I came out of school earlier than they did. And so they really didn't know who I was. And I didn't have a great OTAs. I was still adjusting back to the NFL, the American game. And to be able to do that in front of the guys and be kind of show that, that I do belong here. And I do think that I can have success in this league. That was validating not only for myself, but it was cool for the rest of the team to share in that as well.
You mentioned you had some highs and lows. Was that your biggest high, or what would you claim for the full season was your biggest high?
Yeah, that's certainly up there. I think the other thing that comes to mind is just the satisfaction that I got out of the 3 weeks that I was in New England.
Yeah.
No one's really helping you catch up on the playbook. You kind of have to do it yourself. And being able to feel like I was comfortable enough to play in that last game, to me, and that's not the easiest offense, I think, in the world to pick up. They certainly ask a lot of the quarterback.
Yeah.
And so to be able to prove it to myself that I could do that, I think is going to be one of the things that I take from this season moving forward. So I'm very proud of myself for that.
So, Nathan, you give yourself a timeline, like how long the NFL, chasing the NFL, being in the NFL, have you given yourself a timeline, or is it just as long as it goes, it goes?
Yeah, I really haven't. I just I think it's one of those things where you know, and I think that's happened to Chris Streveler when he kind of knows when his time is up and he's kind of ready to go back into a position where he's more on the field. I imagine that would happen if I was in a similar situation, but I'm not really thinking about that too much at this point. My opportunity is still coming in the NFL, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nathan Rourke, and obviously, the Lions, every team in the CFL would do whatever they could to make sure that you were playing for them. But as you said, you're focused on the NFL, end up in New England. Did you get a chance to chat with Belichick at all? What
Stay
was
at
that?
His house?
Yeah, what was that experience like?
Welcomed you into his organization?
Yeah, well, he's just being around him is surreal.
Really?
Just to be able to see him, and obviously, I loved watching NFL films, and I'm a fan of the game and the history of the game, first and foremost. And to be able to see someone who's had such an impact on the game and its players was really, really cool. But it was also kind of a pinch me moment. And then it's like, all right, let's make sure I'm paying attention in this meeting so I know where to go for the next couple of days. But anyways, we spent some time with him. I think the interactions that I did have with him were positive, and I think that he kept on giving me opportunities to be able to prove myself, which is again positive. And I was rooting for him to get a job because I thought that might be another opportunity for me, and it still might be in the future. It's hard to believe, honestly, that he doesn't have a job, but he had so much control in that organization. It's hard to see that someone might give him, all the keys to everything. But anyways, I really enjoyed playing with him, and I think that our personalities in terms of just being football and really loving the sport and really respecting it, I think that really showed, and I think that's a similarity that we both share.
Well, Nathan Rourke in studio, you weren't there for long, but the reputation with Belichick was that he ran a tight ship. It was a different vibe around the team as opposed to maybe Doug Peterson would in Jacksonville or whatever. Did you pick up on that? Did it feel different? Does the Patriot way match the reputation it has?
Yeah, it certainly does. I think that, Bill is one of those coaches who really wants to put his stamp on everything. One of the things that jumped out to me right away was that he has such a control and an influence. I think influence is a better word on every aspect of the game: offense, defense, special teams. He understands it so well, and he's putting his input in every single coordinator's ear. And in team meetings, we would watch offense, defense, special teams. And, I learned a lot about special teams in those 3 weeks just by watching it.
Really?
We'd never done that anywhere else that I'd been, not even dating back to college.
And that's mandatory? Like it wasn't a choice you had to
everybody, everybody's got to be there. Everybody's
watching, and those meetings go pretty long sometimes. He just pulls up games and we're going through them, but you can tell just the depth of his football knowledge. And you can tell that going into that building, last 24 years, that's Bill Belichick's place, and it'll be interesting to see where Coach Mayo takes it from here. I'll be excited to see what that's going to look like when he makes that place really in his own image.
Absolutely. Nathan Rourke in studio, and I'm sure you're inspired by different players. I would assume Trevor Lawrence may have been inspiring for you down in Jacksonville, even though Brady wasn't there. I'm sure the aura of Brady would have been there. But I'm curious if you look at a guy like Brock Purdy and his story, if you see yourself in him at all, the fact that, his last pick in the draft, third string guy, but couple injuries, couple opportunities, and this guy's playing in the Super Bowl. Is that kind of the path you're looking for and hoping for?
Yeah, I think what stands out to me about Brock Purdy is just the fact that, a guy that didn't get many opportunities, obviously being a seventh-round pick, last pick of the draft, but it just goes to show how crazy this league is in terms of opportunities. Two guys go down. One is a first-round pick previous years in Trey Lance. The other guy is a guy that they had just brought them to the Super Bowl, right? And Jimmy Garoppolo. Yep. They both go down. Maybe earlier in the year, he's thinking there's no way I'm, playing this year. I might just be on practice squad. But, he made the most of his opportunity, and I think that is what this league is all about, especially at this position. The amount of quarterback injuries that there were this year is, especially serious ones. You think about the Achilles injuries that we had, thumbs, hands. You just have to be in the right situation and be able to take advantage of the opportunity when that comes calling. And I think that Purdy has done a great job of that, showed that he can do it. He's an undersized guy, which I relate to. I think I'm a little bit taller than he is, but he's an undersized guy. I certainly relate to him in a number of ways, and I wish for the best for him this Super Bowl Sunday.
You have a read on the game? I mean, being in the league, I don't know how much you get to watch the other teams. You're so focused, I'm sure, on your own game planning and taking it 1 week, at a time. But you got two great teams in the Chiefs and the Niners. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I was fortunate to play both teams when I was in Jacksonville. We played Kansas City and we played the Niners. And as a quarterback, we're spending a lot of time watching that defense, right? So I really have the perspective of watching their defensive coordinators and their schemes.
Right.
And I think it's very interesting, the matchups we have here. I think that obviously with Kyle Shanahan, he's going to be running his system, right? And that system is based off of the skill weapons that they have out on the interior, and then obviously Christian McCaffrey. But there's not a lot on the quarterback's plate to change things. They're asking him to run the system. They're not asking him to mic point and do all these different things, slide the protection. And I think that Steve Spagnuolo, who's one of the best DCs, he's the chief DC, one of the best in the league, and he's going to have a great game plan. He's had a great postseason against the Ravens and the Bills, and And then the Dolphins, all three potent offenses in this league, and MVP candidate and Lamar Jackson, he shut them down every single week, and he's going to be bringing those pressures, and I think he's going to really try to get to Purdy and take advantage of the fact that they know where the projection is going to be set. They're going to want to San Francisco's going to want to mix up what side the back is on, just so they can do some self scouting and kind of figure out what their tendencies are. But they're going to want to mix what side the back's on, because Spag's going to have a great read on that, and I think that's going to be a really interesting way of seeing how that all plays out. I'm really interested to see how he approaches it.
You're talking about Purdy. Let's talk about Mahomes.
Sure.
Like, I mean, is this just when you watch him, is this just another level? Like, is this like everything that he does? You envision yourself. You're in the same position. Is he just a cut above, or is there just stuff that you can maybe take from his game and go, geez, I'd like to try that?
Yeah, I think there's certainly some of that for sure. When we turn on the film as quarterbacks, yeah, we're watching the defense, but we get to watch the other team's quarterback as well.
Right.
You get to learn from them as well. So with Mahomes, you certainly see what jumps out to me on film with Mahomes is the conviction that he plays with. He plays with so much confidence. You can tell that the organization is behind him. He doesn't play with an ick of fear, and I think that. While that might not be present in my own situation, right? You might not have the organization or 10 years and 450 million or whatever it is behind you, but to play like you are, or you play like you have that, I think that's something you can take from him. He does stuff all on the regular that that last throw against the Ravens that really put it away. He's not stepping into that. He's using different arm angles. I don't know in your right mind why if you're clean like he was, why you're throwing it like that, but he's got the conviction and the talent to do it. So it's really amazing to watch, and you really have a great appreciation of exactly what he's doing. So I think it's going to be hard to bet against him and the Chiefs this Sunday.
Yeah, we keep coming back to that. Everyone we're talking to, and especially quarterbacks, we had Jake Delhomme on yesterday. He's like, I can't go against Mahomes. And it sounds like you're saying the same thing, and it speaks to the position, which I'm sure you guys are biased. I'm sure, Delhomme and yourself, you play the position. But there's just such an admiration for Mahomes and his ability to create. And, you mentioned Spagnuolo and what he could do to try to make Purdy feel uncomfortable. Like 6 years into the league, it's the same thing with Mahomes. Like, I'm sure, Steve Wilkes, the DC in San Fran, has been waiting for 2 weeks to try to make him uncomfortable. But how do you do that? Like, how do you make Mahomes feel like he's seeing ghosts out there?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think that's the flip side of things is exactly what Steve Wilkes is going to do. The 49ers have built their organization on investing in the front four and their pass rushers. Right? You can see that in the draft. You see that in free agency. Chase Young, they got Bosa there, and their philosophy in that offense in that defense in that system is to stop the run on the way to the quarterback. And so that's what they're going to do, and then they're going to play coverage behind it. And if you can generate pressure with four pass rushers in this league, and then play 7 in coverage, you're going to be really successful. And so I think what they're going to try to do is to try to make Mahomes take pieces and little chunks rather than taking the explosive plays. Because I think with someone like him, he's always going to be looking for the big play. He's always going to be, looking to extend it and maybe not take what something, a 5-yard, 6-yard completion. They're going to try to get him to be impatient and get a little bit greedy. I think that's what you have to do. What I'm interested to see is if Steve Wilkes is going to start bringing 5, if they're going to start bringing some pressure, because last week, the Baltimore Ravens and Mike McDonald, they're a pressure team, they're a pressure unit. They were bringing pressure, and Mahomes did a really good job. Him and Kelsey were on the same page. They would just get the ball out of his hands real quick, replace him with the throw, and that's just a different philosophy that Steve Wilkes is gonna play. They're gonna limit the big play. They're gonna keep everything in front of them, and that's just kind of counter to what Mahomes is. So I think that'll be interesting. But he's a veteran again. He's going to be able to do it. But it'll be interesting to see.
Game of chess, right? Because he may kind of know what they're bringing, but then if they throw something at him that he didn't expect, then all hell can break loose at that point.
Hayes, that's the chess game that I like. It's like, and Nathan, you can answer this. Like, would the Chiefs sit down and say, if we were to guess, like, this is what they're going to bring at you to force you to do this? Like, how much of the back and forth is part of the preparation, thinking of what the opposition is going to bring to the quarterback and what's going to be available?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you know going and playing in San Francisco is that they're going to be who they are. They're not going to change what their base defense is. They're going to be a cover 4 quarters. They're going to be a one high, single high zone, and then they're going to play some man, and that's really what they're going to be for the entire game. It's just a matter of how they disguise things. How do they change? How they show a too high shell, 2 safeties, and then roll down late. You have to do some of that stuff with Mahomes. You have to confuse him. You have to try to throw him off a little bit. But you look at him all year. You look at Kyle Shanahan's defenses in the past. The last time they played him, I guarantee, in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, I think that was 2021.
2019, yeah.
2019, there you go. It's going to be a very similar game plan from the 49ers, and I think they're going to have to do something different because it didn't turn out too well.
Well, that's what's wild. Like, exactly, and I think that's kind of what O's alluding to. Like, if Andy Reid and company are like, all right, easier said than done. We got to stop it, or we got to get the ball out quick, or Bosa's coming off the corner. But you do wonder, like, do they have the courage, Shanahan, Wilkes, and the Chiefs and the Niners, to say, we're going to do something a little bit different here? Like you mentioned Belichick, the idea of Belichick not camouflaging defenses, like that's what he did so masterfully for 24 years. Mm-hmm. He'd go in and he'd confuse people. Mm-hmm. And, again, easier said than done, because I'm sure the Ravens were thinking we'll confuse, the Bills were thinking we'll confuse. And even if you do, maybe Mahomes is so smart, he's going to pick it off, and then you're really in trouble. Because if you, send an extra blitz or 2, someone's going to be open, and he will torch you at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that their priority is going to be stopping Travis Kelce. I think that's what's going to have to be. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to try to challenge Kansas City's offensive line. I mean, you look at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago with the Chiefs and the Bucs. That's really what Kansas City's downfall was that offensive line. And again, that was a different philosophy with the Bucs. They were a pressure. That defense was a pressure unit, and it's a different philosophy than 49ers. But they're going to have to look back on those type of things and learn from them if they're going to get out of their own way almost. If they're going to get a win. Nathan
Rourke joining us in studio. We were having a discussion last hour about lunatics, quite frankly, in the National Hockey League. Guys like Ty Domi and Stu
fighters
Gibson
and stuff like that.
Fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
In the CFL, there are some monsters and there are quick guys that can come off the edge and come at you. But in the NFL, there is a different beast. And, I'm curious if you ran into that at any point, even in practice, whether it was in the preseason, or you imagine yourself put myself behind center and Nick Bosa is just frothing at the mouth, or Aaron Donald is like, I'm coming through this line and I'm coming at you, man. Like what's that like? Envisioning that or going up against it, like the NFL, like monster pass rush or monster tackle that has got an attitude on top of everything else.
Yeah, you say Aaron Donald. That one clip of Geno Smith this past year when he's coming, Aaron Donald is coming free, and Geno Smith goes, "Oh shoot!" That's kind of all of our mentalities when it comes to Aaron Donald. He is such a good player, and he's one of the kind of guys you talk about crazy. I think he's a little crazy, but I think he has to be to play that position. I think the one thing about that is you also have to, put into account your offensive line. Like they're there for a reason as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a part of of a quarterback's mentality where you have to trust the guys in front of you. So yeah, there's going to be some guys out there. They're going to make their plays. It's a lot easier to rush the passer than it is to protect one. But at the end of the day, I think you have to protect. You have to trust those guys up there to be able to do your job well.
And the NFL's adjusted the rules too, right? Like they're roughing the passer and all that kind of stuff or you consider where it was 30 or 40 years ago.
Yeah, those guys were
like Lawrence Taylor coming off the edge. Like he's like, I'm going to kill this guy if I can.
Fair game.
He was legit crazy.
Yeah,
I've heard some of the stories on that.
You've heard some LT stuff.
I've heard some LT stuff. He's great. He was crazy.
Yeah. LT was a menace, man.
Do you have a
menace?
Obviously you played, right up since a kid. Like, is there a time that comes to mind where you've been hit that hard? Like, do you have a guy or somebody that you knew hit you? What's the hardest you've ever been hit?
Yeah, I hope my mom's not listening to this.
Well, yeah.
I've definitely had my bell rung a couple of times. I've been very fortunate with head injuries. I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had anything serious. I know so many players growing up who, their career was cut short because of head injuries, and they should still be playing. But certainly wind knocked out of me. My last game at Ohio University was a bowl game. We're playing in Boise, Idaho, in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. and we had a 7-man protection, and they were rushing 3, and one of the guys came free to my right side. And everyone talks about the blind side being, protect the blind side. But if you're looking to the left and somebody hits you in the chin to the side that you're holding the ball, that hurts a lot more. And then he hit you there, and then he lands on you.
Oh,
That's the worst part. So getting up and feeling like you can't breathe. But I have to imagine that, landing on ice is a lot harder than landing on grass.
I mean, he was a defenseman, O-Dog was a forward, and I was a goalie. So we got the positions covered. But
no one's landing on you, though.
Yeah.
No one's landing on you.
Exactly. Well,
and they don't have to, like, some of them are 350 pounds, are they not? Like, that's the difference.
Flying.
And flying.
Like McDavid coming off the edge.
Running a 4.4 or 4.6 or whatever, and they're just, that's a bus, like, coming at you, or a golf cart. Like, for us, like, nowadays, like, guys hit hard, and there's a lot of speed involved, and I've seen some massive hits in my time, but the amount of weight behind some of the players that you had to face, it's a different animal, right?
Yeah.
And you got to hold on to the ball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hold on or did you fumble?
On that one, I didn't hold on to the ball.
That's a fumble.
I didn't know where I was.
Right.
The ball was the least of my concerns. But no, I've the funny thing about that is that the defensive linemen seem to get more athletic every single year.
Right.
They're running crazier and crazier times at the combine. And we just have to quarterbacks have to continue to get faster just to compete. Just to run away from them.
It's crazy. You're right. You see a guy run a 5-second 40 that's 320 pounds and 6'7". It's like, what is...
They're building. There's a building coming at you.
Yeah.
How do you stop that guy? Anyway, Nathan, it's great to see. How's your brother doing? Everyone's doing well.
Great. He's doing great. He's at Indiana now.
Yep.
He just got there. He's been learning the system from the new staff, and we're really excited to see what this year's going to bring for him. It's an awesome privilege to be able to see him at a Big Ten school.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like, I think that for me coming out, I think the only knock that I was aware that I was going to have, and I fully accepted, I still accept, but I was at a small school. That's not going to be an issue for him anymore. He's going to be able to prove that he belongs with the big boys. So really excited for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of the off season. Yeah. Good luck with everything. Keep in touch. I know we'll
stay fit.
Stay fit. Stay active. Stay active. That's right. We always try to remind athletes to stay active.
Yes.
Because the three of us,
not active.
Not very active. Not necessarily
not even
in
like
shape.
Pickleball or something?
No. Play golf and take cards.
Yeah, I mean, we're all working out. We're all working out.
Right, we are working out now.
Limited workouts.
Okay,
Shout out.
And,
that's the important thing.
It is the important thing.
What we try to do, we try to stay active.
Stay active. That's right. It's a lifestyle for us. We would urge you to join us. He is Nathan Rourke. Great seeing you, Nathan. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Nathan Rourke joining us around the table. Overdrive continues. Arbitration. We'll get to that next.
Now, is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for them. It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
OverDrive Arbitration.
I've been wanting a piece of them for years.
You think you got a case?
Your face is my case.
Yes. Yes. High-level production. We love it. Little arbitration. This is how we operate around here. And the reason we're doing this is because Vladdy Guerrero Jr. just won his arbitration case.
Ridiculous, man.
And, I know. You mentioned it earlier. You've been through it. Like, there's a chance Vladdy, he'll put a good face on, but he may very well be pissed off about the whole situation.
2 years and I'm out of here. Don't even think about it. And it's just one thing where, and I'll go right back to last year. He wasn't good. He had the pick off. It was embarrassing, whatever. But the idea of a lot of other players signing monster deals, like, who signed the deal down in Atlanta like 3 or 4 years ago now? And Vladdy came in with him.
Acuna. Acuna Jr.
And it was $100 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they got ahead of it, and that's ultimately a great deal.
Unbelievable.
Well,
but they were tossing around $100 million. It's just the organizations pick and choose, man. They either give it to you or they don't.
Well, and there's a famous arbitration case. You remember Mike Milver, the Islanders versus Tommy Salo? I don't know if you ever heard that story.
That was Milbury that did it?
And Salo, it was bad. To the point where I think Tommy,
he said, I'm not playing.
They broke him down, yeah. He was down in tears type of thing.
So stupid.
They went through, again, you hear secondhand information, but they went, game by game. It's cost us the game there, bad goal here. Literally, went.
Why the player has to be in those meetings, it's so
apparently
stupid.
He got up, he got up and said, I will never play here again. And they had to, I can't remember what they did. They ended up, ending the negotiation or ending the arbitration and signing him to, a 2-year deal. And then having to mend the relationship where you've got your GM and I think coach at the time going, this guy's junk.
Right.
To try and save a few extra dollars.
Well, that's the thing, is it is a business. And I'm sure the team's argument would be, well, you could just take the deal we offered you.
Right.
You wanted to go to arbitration too. It is a double-edged, it is a two-way street, right? Vladdy, Tommy Salo.
Yeah, but
you could just accept that. Why would you? But what I'd like to know is if the player can go in and say, well, the staff is a joke. I thought Ohtani was going to be here. What happened there? That should happen. Every single GM in
you
sports
get to go back at them.
should have to step into arbitration after every year, and one fan gets picked.
And that's what I did in my arbitration. I was like, they were talking about one of my comparables from the team was Michael Groschick, who scored 20 goals for the Buffalo Sabres.
Right-handed shot.
Yeah, and they were just chewing at my plus-minus. And I said, I got a meeting with my agent in the room privately, and I said, if they bring up the plus-minus again, why don't you go to Dominic Hasek for the plus-minus and go through the 10 or 15 goaltenders that I played with, and he's got Dominic Hasek, and that'll end the plus-minus discussion.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Who you play with obviously is going to factor into all that.
Yeah, well, you're right. Well, you had Archie Irby there, did you not? Or no, who was your guy?
Dude, I was scratching at something. I had to sewer somebody to get back into the conversation.
Blame Archie.
Well, plus minus, that's a lazy stat.
Yeah, exactly. You should have been ahead of your time and said I was an expected
stat.
goal machine.
Yeah, you should have said expected goals or Corsi or Fenwick, whichever one was being thrown around just before your time there.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
All right, arbitration. We haven't played this in a while, but we know how it works, right? A player, a coach, a fan base, GM, owner, whatever, they step into arbitration, they're awarded something, and then they can either take it or leave it. I guess from this standpoint, it's more whether we believe they should take it or leave it. Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yes.
William Nylander enters arbitration. He is awarded 100 points on the nose. Should he take it or leave it?
Take it. What are you?
Take it. Take it.
100 in the National League, you take it every damn time.
Okay.
Especially if you've never been in that
now.
stratosphere right now.
Yeah.
He's got 65 and 30.
33 games left.
Just take it.
You just take it? This guy was on pace for 120 3 weeks ago.
I know,
So
but
what?
early in the season when you have 4 goals in 5 games, you're on pace for 80 goals too, or 70 goals or whatever. For him, take the 100. The highest has ever been is 87. You're having a career year. You just signed for $1 zillion. Take the 100 points.
You're taking it?
Yes.
I'm leaving it because I'm chasing Matthews. I think Matthews has got.
It's a dummy comment.
I think he's got the modern record right now. Matthews was 106 points is the most he's had in his career, I believe. Why not try to pass that? What's the difference now? You got the contract anyway. You end up with 99. What are they going to take it back?
That's where your selfishness comes into play because the team needs him to get 100 points.
Well,
and you want to get stupid here and you think about selfish stuff.
What if they need him to get 107 points? How do we know it's going to be 100? Yeah, Matthews had 106 a few years ago. I say go for 107. And
That's not the most Leaf has ever got.
No, Doug Gilmour's got the most.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know. There's some weird. I've told you this before. The Leafs have been around.
Yeah, I know.
A zillion years, and there's some of the record holders
they have 3 guys that have hit 100 poents. That's another thing.
That still blows my mind.
I know.
I know in the modern era 60-some games, all of that.
But still, you had Gilmour's done it twice. Sittler did it twice or 3 times.
You would think they would sign a guy in the 80s or 90s that would just put up 100 points.
Right.
Dave Andrechuk didn't get 100 points?
I don't believe so. He had 50 goals. I don't think he had 100 points. And then Matthews had 106. So from that standpoint, I guess Nylander, if he gets to 100, he joins a club that's very exclusive when it comes to the Maple Leafs. All right, Canadian hockey fans step into arbitration. They are awarded a Canadian team losing in the Cup final.
Take it every single day of the week.
Losing in the Cup final.
Yes, because you know why? Somebody got there at least. How long have we been waiting for that? Since 93?
No,
to win. He's saying lose.
Sorry,
I'm saying lose in the Cup final.
I get it.
You've seen that too many times.
2006, Edmonton went to the final.
Yeah.
Montreal
didn't
not
get
that long
COVID.
ago.
It doesn't matter. The country deserves somebody to be there. You're taking it every time.
No, I'm
Okay.
leaving. I'm leaving it because I think you got to shoot for higher.
Try to win
You're
one.
Trying to win
Somebody
the Stanley
in
Cup.
this
You're not
country.
trying to like just. And there are some teams that actually could, There's 4 teams that are going to be in the playoffs. Correct?
Yes.
All 4 of those teams, you could realistically see a pathway for them based on either their talent level, where they are in the standings this season, or, lightning in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You name it. And so why not try and see that out? At the end of the day, if somebody makes it to the conference finals, it'll still be a nice run, but we'll still be talking, it's been 30 years.
Drought's
It'll
gotta
be
come to
31
an
years
end.
since somebody's won the Cup in
I
Canada.
agree. Losers race to
saying,
accept that.
I'm saying just leave it and see if somebody can do it.
Yeah, I leave it too, because you do have 4 tickets, 4 unique tickets. They all have different strengths. They all have different weaknesses. We've discussed the parity in the league right now. I think there's a very good chance at least one Western team gets to a conference final, right? And especially considering they're all going to avoid each other, likely. If Vancouver, Edmonton, Winnipeg, they're probably all going to play different opponents in the first
Wouldn't
round.
a conference final and all Canadian Western final be just
Phenomenal.
awesome?
What would you pick if you had the option?
Edmonton, Vancouver?
I think so.
Probably.
Winnipeg's going to hate hearing that.
No, but I
Sarah
would say-
Orlesky, I'm picking Winnipeg, Edmonton.
Yeah. All right. Shout out to Sarah. I guess. Oh, you know what? I'll go Winnipeg, Vancouver then.
there you go.
I'll go
You're
Winnipeg,
a good
Vancouver.
man and a good friend. Nothing more, nothing less.
Winnipeg, Vancouver for me.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is entering arbitration. You are awarded a PGA Tour victory, but you will not make another cut at a major ever again. Take it or leave it.
No way. Leave it. No.
You don't pass Sammy Snead and
Guy is
establish the
gonna-
record?
No, because you know why? This guy could pull a Jack Nicklaus at like 48 or 49 at Augusta. If he could ever get that Forrest Gump knee working properly in ankle, he could go into Augusta and somehow create a miracle. I know he did it in 2019. Maybe one day he can just hit 3-iron off a tee at a U.S. Open and win that somehow. I just think that he can do the miraculous. But the Forrest Gump leg's got to get rectified.
Yeah.
He
But
can't do it on the Forrest Gump.
What's more realistic, that after the 4th hole, the limp starts?
That's
And
what I'm
then
saying.
It's like, and then it gets ugly. And then by the remember the last time, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time he was playing, like he made the cut and he didn't
was
want to
that-
make the cut.
Well, that was at the Masters. He wanted to make the cut to keep his cut streak alive, and then he pulled the shoot immediately.
Yeah, but it wasn't the cut line changed and he just barely made it or
yes,
something.
he did.
And then the next day he was like, I'm
Well, they were
out.
going out
What'd you
again
do?
that afternoon, I think, because I think it got rained out. He had to go out and finish. It was really
Because
ugly. It was tough to watch.
I don't want to see that, but that's what I feel more of that is coming as opposed to him on the other. Take the one win. and
I'm
move on.
taking it too. Then you pass Snead. You've got the most PGA Tour wins ever. What would that be? 83 or 84? The last time he won a tour event was the Zozo Championship back in 19, I believe, maybe in 20.
Yeah.
And obviously, the last time he won a major was at the Masters. I think he's a big underdog to win either a major or a tour event. Doesn't play enough. I'd love to see it. I want to believe it. I hear what you're saying. If he can stay healthy and start striping a ball for 4 days, he can win a tournament.
Yep.
But let's say he could win at Riv. Like you go to Riviera, that'd be amazing. He'll be on the sea next week. He'll be
Dude,
doing
I'm
his
telling
thing.
you, he's not making the cut. That course is too hard. It's too good, and he doesn't play. You can't not play. He does the same thing every time. First presser, I can win this week. And then after he misses the cut, he's like, I haven't played.
I know, it is frustrating.
It is. It's like, yeah, I definitely think I can win this week. And then Todd Lewis asks him when he walks off the 18th green and misses the cut, he's like, well, I'm rusty, right? I haven't played.
Yeah.
And there's what? Okay,
then
it
how-
can't be one or the other.
But then how are you not take the one win and move on? Because it's the same story with this guy every year.
Because he's just Tiger Woods, man. He
I
could
know.
pull off the unthinkable. Like, he's Mahomes on steroids, in my personal opinion.
He was 20 years ago. I mean, that's the thing. He's Brady, right? He's not playing.
Right.
Like it's a scenario where I want to believe it. He's going to play a Riviera next week. I think he'll play the Players, I guess. And then he'll be at Augusta, and he'll play the majors, and that'll probably be it.
What about this indoor dome or whatever? This indoor stuff?
That's not good. I don't even know if that's going to get off the ground.
Well,
I don't either, man. That seems like it's just hogwash, and it's just like someone got in a room and was like, "That was a stupid idea." Yeah,
we're out.
Nothing to see here.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Although if he wins that, will they try to sanction that as a PGA Tour event?
Yeah,
I could see it. I could see them bending the rules for Tiger. All right, final one here, arbitration. Alex Ovechkin walks into arbitration. He is awarded 10 more goals the rest of the season. So you take it or leave it?
No way.
Take it.
No way. Because he's like Tiger Woods for hockey. He could just say, you know what? I'm going on a heater. What you saw is what you saw, and it's going to change. And the one-timers, I dug into some stats and some some looks and some different things that he's been doing. It's not all bad, and it's going to turn around.
Okay,
good.
there you go. I
hope for him, but you take the 10 goals to get to 20 this season, and you train hard in the offseason, and you hope that you have north of 20 next year.
Okay, but Noodles, what's the mini Jerry's percentage that he could get 20 in 35 games and then coming down the stretch here?
20 total or 20 goals?
20 just the rest of the way. So he can end up at 29. I think there's a 60% chance that he could get hot and rip home 20 in the second half.
I'm 22% on it for me. 29's a big number when you're sitting at 10. You need 19 goals, and I believe Washington has played 49. Let's say they got 32 games left. Oof, I don't know, man.
don't think he's ripping home 20, but I'm leaving this because I think at a minimum he's going to score 7 or 8 more. So what's an extra 2 or 3? When you're chasing Gretzky, you're trying to get on that heater. And he's
got 34 games left.
He's freakish, right? Like I'm sure he's still confident that he can do it. I'm sure he's still a believer, even though it hasn't happened, that he is one game away from unlocking something and knocking out 20 goals in the final 34 games.
It's a big number.
It's a massive number. But it's not massive for him in his career. That would be routine. That'd be disappointing almost. Now, I understand he's not in his prime, and at no point this year has he looked as if he's on the verge of exploding. But a couple bounces go your way, a couple power plays go your way, a couple empty netters. All of a sudden, you're at 6 or 7 already anyway.
Yeah. I'm just trying to be realistic.
I hear
you
you.
take the 10, you put them in the bank, and then you train hard this summer and try and do north of 20 next year.
Well, if you add 10 more, then he shows up next year, he's 52 goals back. Right. I believe.
If you can have a 25-goal season next year, if you have a really – well, if you get –
No, I hear you, but then the following year he's got to get to 27. I think we're going to – this guy's playing for like 3 more years.
It's a 2.5 year – I think it's 2 years that he's away, but the half year plus 2 more.
Yeah. And then possibly the start of the next year.
To get like 3?
That's what I'm saying. Like if he's 2 or 3 back, he's obviously going to return.
Yeah.
And at that point,
you know what?
He's
going to prove us all
watch.
wrong because O's going to be. O will end up right. The guy gets 29 this year, and then I'll be puts.
Well, next year he scores 40 or something.
And we're not talking about it.
Yeah. What would be amazing is if it was like he needs to get out of Washington to unlock that. He needs to go and play somewhere else.
No,
they're never going to let him do that.
The owner wants to.
Of course,
attached to this.
He's not going anywhere.
Well, the owner would scissor kick him to do that.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
We're on hold here for you.
Yeah.
So, no, that's what he'll do it there.
Yeah, he's got to do it there. He's going to play his whole career there, for sure. All right, there you go. Arbitration.
We're good.
That was pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. And
Case dismissed.
Case dismissed. We're getting closer to the Super Bowl, and we want to remind people that heading into Super Bowl weekend, now's your chance to back your favorite OverDrive duo, Hayes and Bro or Owen Wilson. We're going to make our picks tomorrow. All right, we got a spread, we got a total, we got quarterback props, wide receiver, tight end, running back props, the coin toss, the anthem. There's a lot on the line tomorrow, like a lot on the line. So who are you tailing here, Hayes and Bro or Owen Wilson? Tell us. Again, whose Super Bowl pick you're backing. Follow us on Twitter at OverDrive1050 and tweet us with either hashtag Hayes and Bro or hashtag Owen Wilson, or text the keyword Hayes or O-Dog and your name to 105050. You'll have until Super Bowl Sunday at 1 p.m. to make your pick. On Super Bowl Monday, one lucky listener who tails the championship duo will win a $250 NFL shop gift card and a pair of tickets to the Bills home opener in 2024. That is lights out. And my understanding internally is people are tailing Hazenbro at like a 53% clip.
Really?
Not true.
It is factual and
Doogie,
true.
if you know the info, what is the info? Who are people backing?
53%.
It's 53%.
What about that other guy? Is he off
Al's
his
brother?
cruise? Yeah.
Yeah, he's off his cruise. He was at a card show. He's been doing the morning show.
I mean, at a card show.
He got off the boat, flew up here, and went to St. Catharines to a...
He's selling cards or signing them? What do you mean card show?
I think he sells and buys and
like
trades.
Pokemon type of thing?
No, like hockey cards and stuff, I think. Baseball, basketball. He's in the card game.
He's what? Like
he's an entrepreneur.
Ken Griffey Jr.
And I guess
rookie card, and he's
guess,
signing
and
it?
people walk up and say, I really want that, and he just starts bartering. It's like a flea market.
He's Bruce McNall.
He's Bruce McNall. That's right.
Yeah. So he's trying
Al's brother has a Honus Wagner card somewhere.
Oh. Is that what he had? Is that what Bruce McNall had?
Yeah, it was like worth a million or it was $1 million card or something.
I think the
Honus
most
Wagner.
expensive card ever is the Honus Wagner card because it's from like 1889 or something and in mint condition. Imagine buying that.
Well, there's rich people that would just buy that and put it in a glass case.
Well, exactly. It's like buying like arts and stuff. It's basically a way to launder money. Like you just pump money into it. And you're like, that thing's worth whatever. And whenever I want the cash back, I'll sell it to some other guy.
Yes. I mean, there's just rich people that just
want
that on
that
their
card.
wall. Yeah, I want that card.
All right.
I mean, Gretzky rookie cards are worth a lot of cash, are they not? Like mint condition?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was something online. There was an auction going on recently. Someone inherited like 70 or 80 boxes, unopened, mint condition,
cards.
fresh, O-Pee-Chee, like 79, 80 cards.
Really?
And everyone's buying, knowing Gretzky's rookie cards in there, and there's a chance there's 3 or 4 of them in there, 5, 10 of them in there.
Oh, my God.
So it just went up like silent auction, and I want to say it was going off for like $2-3 million, $4 million, like huge money. Without knowing exactly what's in there, but there's a very good chance there's multiple Gretzky rookie cards in there.
What if it was just like 25 Willie Platt
Well,
cards
that's what I'm
and
saying. You get in there, and it's
like-
Eddie Mio times a million.
Kevin Lowe and, I just, like, it could happen. Or there's 10 Gretzky's in there. It's
Or
just-
there's a lot of Gretzky rookie cards.
that'd be
Exactly.
awesome.
All right, we'll come back and recap a busy afternoon. The NBA trade deadline's behind us. The Raptors did make a couple of moves, and they're pushing work to the offseason. A lot of guys sticking around that have Raptor fans wondering what this team's doing in the future. So we'll get to that as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, so the Raptors made a couple of moves this afternoon, but Gary Trent Jr. is still here. Chris Boucher is still here. Bruce Brown is still here. They won last night.
Brucey's too happy about it.
No, I know. Bruce, I'm sure, was when he was acquired in the Siakam deal, he was probably thinking, I'm moving on pretty quickly.
Right.
And, there had been some reports that maybe a team was willing to give up a pick, like a first-rounder for him or something else. Like, that's what's got to sting is if you hear through the grapevine that a pretty good offer was on the table.
And you don't go.
And they didn't flip you, and it's like, why not?
Like if it's not a first, then give me a second and you can have them.
Right. Like what are we waiting for here? But, I think what is at the core of it here is the Raptors, they do not want to be awful. Like they're obviously a struggling team. They're a young team. They're an incomplete team.
They don't want to do the scorched earth deal.
They don't want to fall into a trap like Detroit, like San Antonio has been for years. They got Wembanyama, but they're still bad. Charlotte. Like where you're awful for like 5, 6, 7 years.
And there's no pathway
and
out.
there's nothing. It's just like we have nothing to sell. There's no hope. And I agree with that. I don't think that's ever good for your program. Like it's so damaging. You got to give yourself hope.
You get people stop going to the building when you do that stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, there's no hope here. This is garbage.
Right. So, like, you got Scotty Barnes, and now you got Quickly and Barrett, and you got Pirtle on term, and, maybe a couple of these other younger guys stick around and contribute and grow. You're going to have flexibility and money and some picks in the summer. All right. Like, you got to try to add some players. They're going to try to do that. hopefully Darko's the guy. Like, you got the right coach, and he's someone that can drive that. Because he's been getting after these guys. Like, even last night, he was like, he hated their start. Bad start, snapping. Like, we asked it. We're like, how long before the, positive vibes start to subside a little bit?
Yeah, the hair starts to go gray.
Yep. And I would say it's starting to happen a little bit for Darko. So there you go. The trade deadline behind us. The NHL trade deadline still in a month. The Leafs are back in action in Ottawa on Saturday. They had their outdoor practice today, which is always cool. Weather's been good. Like, this would be the week to have it, too. It's supposed to be like 11 degrees tomorrow. I think there's some golf courses that are open. I'm not playing.
I got messages today. I teed it today.
Yeah.
Teed it today.
I know there's been a spot like around the London area that's been open all week. Down in the Sun Belt, down in Windsor, it's been open all year.
Hot Pocket, Windsor.
Oh.
Yep.
There you go.
And I think a couple places out, maybe in Hamilton. I don't know. Anything's possible. But we were striping it today, right? Shout out to our guys at TaylorMade, Nick, and everyone down there. We appreciate the hospitality.
I don't want to blow out of proportion, but I peeked in one time and I looked at the monitor. You hit one that went 325. That's saying something.
Well, the QI10. It's all in the technology, right? I'm working on my swing, my technique, my mechanics, my boiler, all that kind of stuff, right?
All tied together.
All tied together.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out today. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today, radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Both of our man boobs are coming off soon. 4 p.m. 4 p.m.